My name's Hannah Ormerod. I'm from Lancashire, and we have a small limousine herd which I have run now for about 10 years, which I inherited from my grandparents. We have 20 plus calving cows, and I also have a full-time job. So whilst running my full-time job, this is where Moocall comes into my life. I'd never heard of a Moocall before at all. I took it to the farmer and he used it, and literally I think a week later when I went to check how it was going, he had the sensor and it texted him whilst I was there. And I walked out onto the farmyard. This guy was calving like 1,000 dairy cows, so he was really busy. He had a herdsman as well, but it was a test run and it was the perfect time to be there. I walked out on farm and he'd had a text prior to me arriving. He'd received the second text message saying high activity whilst I was there, and we walked out into the yard to see 2 feet, just calf feet just come in. Just literally at that moment, he gave a little bit of assistance with the cow to calve, not much, and within 20 minutes there was a calf on the floor. So I literally rushed home from work after witnessing what I thought was a miracle. I was like, Dad, you're never going to believe what's just happened. There's a sensor that you can put on a cow's tail that can actually text you and tell you when a cow's calving, because prior to that, we've been running shifts whilst working because me and Dad both work, and we've got Grandpa at home as well, but he's a little bit older. But running shifts at work, just sort of, right, I'll go at 10 o'clock, you go at 11 o'clock, Grandad will check at dinner time, then we'll take a break, and then it wasn't ideal, and we wasn't catching everything we should have been doing. Said, how much is it? And I explained it didn't cost the earth at all. And I got one from work the day after. And as they say, the rest is history. We have never, ever been let down by the Moocall. It's an absolute lifesaver. The Moocall is a sensor unit. It's got a tiny ratchet strap that goes around the tail of the cow. And obviously when a cow begins to calve, its tail gives off certain movements, and the Moocall reacts to that and then sends you a message which lets you know that there's something going on. We have cameras as well as the Moocall, but they work hand in hand. Having the cameras, you wouldn't check them unless the Moocall messaged us. So at night time, for example, if the Moocall was to go off, we would go up into the shed and we would turn the lights on, which would then in time upset the cattle. They would begin to stand up, and you wouldn't really be able to get a feel for what was going on in that shed at that moment. So what we did, the Moocall texts us, we can then look and observe from the cameras without upsetting the cows. For example, if the Moocall was to go off at midnight, we don't have to turn the lights on. We can see via the infrared or the night vision, whatever it is on the camera. We can see that, and we can basically work it to our system. We don't all actually live on the farm. Not all farmers live on the farm. So we live down the road. So logging in, having a system that texts us and being able to see from a distance, we can monitor everything. But it wouldn't be possible without the text message alert from the Moocall. We got a message from the Moocall, it was actually last year, and the first alert went off and we had a look and the cow was doing nothing. And the second alert went off. Now, when the second alert goes off for us, it's imminent calving. There's no false alarm on the second alert with the Moocall. For us, there certainly is not. So we had a cow and she was just sort of stood there cutting away. I'm not happy with this situation, there's something going wrong with the cow. So we put the halter on the cow and we just tied her up. And my other half, he actually put his hand inside to have a feel, and we had a breech calf, but it was really tiny. So he's a fantastic cowman. So he managed to turn the calf and just make enough room, but he calved it backwards. So we ended up with this really tiny little calf that had come backwards, and we was very confused because, well, it was so small, we couldn't understand why she'd not parted with this beautiful little effer calf. So my other half again put his hand back in. He said, I'm just going to have a feel. There was another calf. We had twin girls, and we didn't know, but the Moocall told us. Now, if we didn't have that Moocall, we'd have lost both of those. Because the first calf was breech, there was no way they would have got out. They are both living, and they're called Treacle and Toffee, and they actually won the Moocall Cutest Calf Award. Although awards, as there's two of them. But it was a miracle, because without the Moocall, you'd have lost both of those. That cow, to the eye, just observing, was doing nothing. Which buying replacement heifers would stand you at least £3,500 for two of them. I recommend, well, not even just farmers that are off-site, because if you just recommended it to farmers, if I recommended it to farmers who were at work during the day, what about the farmers that have nipped out for the day to the auction? Do you know what I mean? The cattle mart, or they've gone to pick up feed from the local depot, but they've been gone for 7 hours. Once you've lost that bag, or the cow's parted with the embryonic sac, or it's burst, that calf's got an hour to live. Now, if you didn't know about that, especially in the case like where we had the twins, is it worth losing the life? I think not. I think it's so justifiable, the price that you pay for the results that the Moocall gives you. The life of a calf is £400 when it's first born. Now, nobody's going to sell a calf when it's first born. So what I look at is the price of my cattle when they're born stand me at least £1,800, £2,000, because that's killing price. That's how a beef farmer works. So to me, you have to justify investing £400, which is only the first investment, investing £200 a year to save. What if it saves 10 calves? That's saved £18,000. All farmers work on numbers and return on investment. It's a second pair of eyes that just saving one calf, it's paid for itself for 9 years. We saved 2 calves. Our Moocall's paid for itself for the next 18 years. Is that not the sales pitch of the year? Do you name me something else in the farming industry that can do that? You don't need to justify it. It does what it says on the tin.